How are you? Righty. So I hope that you guys are all doing well. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jorge Tamayo. I have worked for Berlitz for 6 years, and today we'll be talking about something very interesting because it's something very practical, something that we'll get to practice before, during, and after every job interview. So it's something that hopefully will be very useful for you guys. Today we'll be presenting our professional and educational background, and we'll be taking a look at these four elements. First of all, we're going to answer the question, what do you do? Right? It's going to be the first question. What do you do? Then we're going to focus on what we did, and later on, we're going to focus on our experience and what we have done. Okay?
Yeah.
And to end with, we're going to take a look at a couple of useful words when it comes to talking about educational background, kind of degrees, and the kind of stuff that is always useful to talk about um, the studies that you have. Okay, so let's start by answering the question, what do you do? Okay, this is a simple question, and it's probably uh, one of the most common questions. We ask it to people we know in a conference, in a seminar. We ask it to our friends, friends of friends, acquaintances. And the answer is usually very simple. I work for, right? I work for Berlitz. I work at Berlitz, right? It's really as simple as that, right? So that's like our starting point. I work for name of the company, right? Then of course, when we answer the question, what do you do? We also talk about our responsibilities. Something like, I am in charge of, I am in charge of this department or that department, right? Or you can say things like, I write reports every day, I talk to customers every day, I contact clients every day. You know, this is the kind of stuff that will help you answer the question, what do you do? Okay. Now, in this context of describing what you do, some useful words are over here. Always, usually, sometimes, occasionally, and rarely. I'll give you an example. I always write emails in the morning, right? I occasionally meet with clients, right? I rarely go on business trips. You see? All of these words will help you describe what you do. Okay? So that's going to be the first part. What do you do? I work for Berlitz. I teach English, and my boss prepares pedagogical programs. We write reports. I send mails, and I occasionally meet with clients. That's it. As simple as that, right? Now, let's also answer a question that is slightly more complex. Let's talk about what we did, right? And to talk about what we did, well, here we have a timeline, right? This is your life, guys. Okay? We are over here at the end of the hour, and we have specific events in the past. I graduated from Lima University in 2020 or stuff like this, right? Specific events. I graduated from Ricardo Palma University in 2015, stuff like this. Something very specific that is already in the past, right? We can also talk about periods of time. Something like, I don't know, maybe here Josue worked for a bank, right? If that is the case, then Josue is going to say, I worked, I worked for a bank from 2008 to 2012, right? That is the red period that you have over here in this timeline. It's already finished. It's already over. It's behind us. It's in the past. Whenever that is the case, you're going to say, I worked, I moved, I graduated, I went. Okay? All right. So if we talk about your professional experience, well, we could say this. I worked for a car dealership in whatever, 2015. I worked as a real estate agent for 7 years. I worked for a hotel in 2008, right? All of that is in the past, okay? But here's an important thing. Um, right now, I work for Berlitz, right? I work for Berlitz. So, would it be possible to say I worked for Berlitz in 2019? So that doesn't really make sense, right? Saying I worked for Berlitz doesn't work because I still work there, right? So if I say, for instance, if we come back to our previous question, right? I work for Berlitz, right? But can I say I work for Berlitz since 2018? No, it doesn't make sense because this is what you do now. And this is what we did in the past. But what I'm currently doing is something that I started to do in the past, but I'm still doing, right? It's kind of like a mix of both. It's not only my present, it's not only my past, it's a mix of both. It's an open period of time. And whenever that is the case, you will be answering this question: what have you done? Right? This question is going to be extremely useful when you talk about your professional experience, right? Because you're going to say, if you want to talk about your current job, I have worked. I have worked for Berlitz for 6 years. Okay? This is how you say it. I have worked for Berlitz for 6 years. Okay? You can say, I work for Berlitz now. You don't mention the time. And if you want to mention the time, I have worked for Berlitz for okay. Now, um, this period of time in this third example is just 6 years, right? It's a period of time that started when I started to work for Berlitz and is still open, right? But the period of time could be bigger. You could talk about your whole life. And if that is the case, then you could say things like, I have lived abroad. I have studied in European universities. I have been to many seminars, right? This is the structure you're going to use to talk about your general experience, all the things that you have done in your life. Okay? So it's a very powerful structure, right? Think about your resumes, guys, right? Um, if I remember a very specific case of one of our students. he was taking a very interesting program to prepare for a job interview. So it's a program that was tailored just to prepare for a job interview in English, of course. And um, and he had an impressive resume, a very impressive resume. He had won the award of best private banker for 2 years in a row. Pretty impressive, right? And um, and well, what we did in that program was to practice with this structure, this one right here, a lot, to allow him to say, well, I have won the award for best private banker twice in a row. That's what we want to say. If here we have someone who has won the best employee of the year, right? Maybe Raisa won that award, right? Maybe Raisa has been the best employee of her company for 3 years in a row, right? If that is the case, then Raisa needs to use this structure. I have been the best employee for 3 years in a row, right? That's what we want to say here with this structure, right? It could also apply to your diplomas, right? To your education, right? I see here someone who is called Shig. Well, maybe she has studied another language, right? I see that Hugo Ortiz is over here. Maybe Hugo Ortiz has studied Chinese. I don't know. But if he has, then he has to say this. I have studied Chinese. It's part of his experience, right? And um, and here we have Omar Velez. Maybe Omar Velez has met Dionisio Romero or has met Bill Gates. Well, if that is the case, then again, the structure you want to use is this. I have met Bill Gates or I have met Dionisio Romero, you name it. Okay? All right. So we have three different structures for three different questions, right? What do you do? Now, what do you do? I work for Berlitz. What did you do? I graduated in 2020. I worked for a car dealership. I worked in a bank, right? And this, what have you done about your whole experience? I have worked for 6 years. I have studied several languages. I have met a lot of people. Okay? Those are the three structures that will allow you guys to talk about your experience, right? And your educational background. But we are missing one thing. There is one thing that we are missing if we want to talk about our educational background, right? To talk about your educational background, you will need this, the kinds of degrees, right? So I don't know if over here we have technicians who work maybe in an oil field or in a mine. But if that is the case, then you guys, you have a trade degree, right? Trade degrees could apply for plumbers like Mario, electricians, maybe we have here people who work for Enel, right? Or for one of those large electric companies, right? It could refer to carpenters or stonemasons or technicians or mechanics, right? All of them have what is called a trade degree. Okay. Now, if that is not the case, if you went to college, to university, then you must have obtained this an undergraduate degree, right? A bachelor, right? And here we have two kinds of bachelors. This is really not that important in Peru because you guys don't have that distinction. But it makes sense in the context of superior education in the US, right? You will see that some resumes on LinkedIn or whatever have these two acronyms, BA and BS, right? Those two stands for Bachelor in Arts or Bachelor in Science. Um, Now, what does that mean? A Bachelor in Arts is a general degree. Um, those of you who have studied at Católica University, has anyone here studied at Católica University? No? No one here? Okay, well, those who know someone who has studied there or who have studied there know that the first years at Católica University are common to all the careers, right? It's something very general. We even have to study religion and all of that. And it's like how it works over there in the Catholic University, right? If we were to make a comparison with the US, the degree that you get at Catholic University would be the equivalent of a bachelor in arts, more or less, right? This is usually the case for people who studied psychology, history, like liberal professions, like the kind of professions that are not very technical, right? And then we have Bachelor in Science. This is going to be much more specific, much more numeric, right? Those are going to be the BS, right? Okay, so we have seen two different degrees, trade degrees, undergraduate degrees. We have another kind of degrees, graduate school degrees, right? So here in Peru, of course, you have masters, right? When you talk about masters, you also have MA, Master in Arts, M in Science, and you have MBAs. You all know MBAs, right? You have PhDs as well. But in this part of the world, in South America, it's also very common to have postgraduate degrees that take only 1 year. They are not masters, right? They are shorter programs that are delivered in 1 year, right? Those shorter programs could be referred to as certificates or graduate diplomas, right? Um, that's how you could refer to those, right? If you don't have a master, but you studied 1 year, a graduate diploma in marketing, well, then that's what you have, a graduate diploma in marketing. Okay? All right. Awesome. Awesome. So, guys, we have answered here 3 questions and added some vocabulary, right? We answered the question, what do you do? What did you do? What have you done? And we have taken a look at useful words to talk about your degrees and your education, right? Now, um, I'm going to give you a very concrete example, and then I will open the microphone so that you can ask me questions. Okay? A very concrete example, in my case, for instance. First, what do you do? I work for Berlitz. I teach English and French. What did you do? I graduated from law in 2013. I worked in a real estate agency for 7 years. I worked in a car dealership for a couple of months. That's what I did, right? What have I done? I have worked for Berlitz for 6 years. I have taken part in several projects. I have met wonderful people, right? And useful vocabulary for studies. I have a bachelor in law and a master in international law. There you go. Okay, so now it's your turn to ask me questions about how you can present your experience in a job interview. Okay? So, guys, the microphone is open. If you want to ask questions, you can ask them in English, or if you feel a little shy, you can also ask your questions in Spanish, okay? So, questions from the audience. I'm here to receive them. And while you think about your questions, I'll leave here our telephones so that you can contact us in the four best countries of this continent: Peru, Uruguay, Venezuela, and Earth. Okay. Okay, we have a question. All right, so Carlos Alberto. Oh, wait, no. Who asked this question? Liz asked the question. How can I say that I am a consultant? You are a consultant, right? So, Liz, you are a consultant. In which field do you work, Liz? Are you a tax consultant? Are you a legal consultant? What kind of consultant are you, Liz? Well, she taps that. Oh, in human resources. Perfect. So you are a consultant in human resources. All right. Wonderful. Very good question, Liz. All right. What other question do you guys have? Feel free to ask them. You can ask them in the chat. You can unmute yourself, raise your hand, ask it in Spanish or in English. We're here for that. While you think about your questions, I'll be telling you about this fantastic raffle that we're going to have today. In a couple of minutes, Roger will be raffling a cyber teacher's license. Cyber Teacher is a platform that Berlitz has developed for self-study. Um, so you can, you know, study English or French or Italian thanks to this Cyber Teacher platform, right? So we'll be raffling one license for that, right? You can participate in that raffle by clicking on the link that Roger just sent and putting there your email and full name. Okay? Rochi, there you go. How do we participate in the raffle? Click on the link that's in the previous message, the one that was sent by Roger. Going to send it over here as well.
Hello, George.
Yes. Hey, Omar. How are you?
Hello, fine. Hello, everybody.
Glad to hear that.
George, could you check this presentation? I told my presentation, and you correct, and you can check if this okay.
Okay, so you want to present your professional
Yes,
experience?
yes. I think
Go
I
ahead,
think
tell us,
one.
give us the example. I like that initiative. Go for it.
For example, my name is Omar. I have background in finance with 20 years of experience in credit assessment collection, and I graduated from Puras University with a degree in accounting. Uh, my role in Telefonica involves offering credit solution to customer, credit assessment, and improving relationship with the customer. Um, I'm passionate about developing and nurturing customer relationship, and I excited. Uh, I'm excited that I would like develop my career in finance area. Um, that's it. I don't know if you can improve that presentation, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, so first of all, Omar, that was good. You told us what you do, right? So like
Hmm.
you work in the collection department. You told us about your responsibilities. You told us that you have over 20 years of experience in that industry. And you also told us that you work for Telefonica. one thing that you could add your experience at Telefonica, right? Remember this third question that we answered over here? What have you done?
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's something
Okay.
that you could add, right? Like, I have worked for Telefonica for 10 years, 15 years, 20
Oh
years.
no. Mm-hmm.
That's something you could add.
Perfect.
Now, two things that you might want to change. I would like, this is super important, guys. After I would like to, right? So like, I would like to develop my career in finance,
Okay.
right?
Okay, better. Uh-huh.
There you go. I would like to,
Okay. And it's
right?
possible say when you working until now, I I've been working at Telefonica for 6 years.
You
When you
you would have,
refer that you work in this moment.
uh-huh. Good question. You would have to say, I have been working, which is
Uh-huh.
a similar structure. It has some differences. It's a bit more advanced, but yes, you could use it. I have been working for Telefonica for 6 years. You could say it like that as well. Yes. But
Okay, the people understand that I work in Telefonica now. Yes.
absolutely, whether you say,
Ah,
I have worked for Berlitz for 6 years, or I have worked for Berlitz for, I have been working for Berlitz for 6 years, both sentences mean exactly the same, right?
perfect.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yes, you can say that as well. Good questions. Good questions there, Omar. And is there
Perfect.
any other
Thank you.
question? I think we have one in the chat. Accounting. Liz, you have to say that, for instance, I don't know, you work in the accounting department, right? And you are, and well, no, you're a consultant. But someone who works in the accounting department is an accountant, right? There you go. Okay, good question there. Do we have any accountant here in this group?
Me.
Ah, there you go. We all have an accountant. They are everywhere. All right, that's good. Carlos has a question. Carlos asks, "What about I was working? Can we say that?" Good question there, Carlos. So, Carlos, um, today is Thursday, so probably you went to the office, right? And that means that Carlos was working at, let's say, 9 o'clock. Carlos was working at 9 o'clock. Okay. Now, can we say I was working for Nestle or I was working for Abbott? Mm, not unless you want to say I was working for Abbott when I received an offer from Roche, you know? Um, unless you are going to talk about those simultaneous actions, unless you want to describe what you were doing when you received that offer, that is not the right way to talk about your experience, right? To talk about your experience, go for a past experience. I worked, right? Not I was working, but I worked, right? Um, now we have another question from Liz. So, yes, the boss of the accounting department, that's the accounting manager. Yes, absolutely. And talking about that, are you looking for an accounting manager, Liz? Because we have Omar here. Now, do we have any other question there? No? Yes? I was just using Omar's example. Right, Liz, right. Um, I bet that Liz works for a headhunter and is here, watching you guys. Good thing, Liz. Good thing. Okay. If you have any other question, feel free to send it on the chat. Unmute your microphone, raise your hand, go ahead and ask it. Um, we're here for that, okay? Now,
25 minutos, camino yo los 25.
oh, Kelly's watching football. Well, I hope it's a good match, Kelly. Hope it's a good match. So,
Jorge, when you referred for the actual war, sorry, first, when you refer your career,
mhm,
exists other word that you refer with your career? I don't remember. For example, my career is in accounting, no?
mhm.
But exists other word when you refer the career, or career I can use career when I talk about that.
Okay, so I think you're talking about your degree, right? What you studied in university, right?
Okay, the degree is my okay. Yes, my degree is in accounting. No,
There you go. You have
yeah.
a bachelor in
I uh-huh.
mhm. You have a bachelor in accountancy, right? You are an accountant. You work in the accounting department, and you have a bachelor in accountancy, right? Um,
Uh-huh.
right? So like if you studied, for instance, let's say in Lima's University, then you could say, I have a bachelor in accountancy from Lima's University.
Ah, perfect.
Mhm.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. And then usually the word career is going to refer to like your professional career, what you have done. Like you have worked for large telecommunication companies, you have worked for, I don't know, like mass consumption
Ah,
companies, stuff
yes,
like
this
that.
is the difference. Okay, yeah. Okay, thank you so much.
There you go.
Okay.
Cool. Rochi has a question. What other questions or phrases are common in a job interview from interviewers? That's a very broad question. Well, listen, there are other very popular questions like, could you tell us of a time in which you had to overcome a challenge? You know, there could be questions about, could you tell us about your achievements in the last year, right? So if if you are preparing for a job interview, we have a pretty interesting program that thoroughly covers the many questions that could arise in a job interview. So, if you have an important job interview in English, I would suggest, Rochi, getting in touch with us because it's a very broad question, and there are like a gazillion questions there that we could mention. So, yeah, give us a call. All right. But good question. Now, Royce said, can I say I hold a bachelor's degree? I mean, you could, but it would be better to say I have a bachelor in, right? It's like the common way of saying it, right? So I have a bachelor in this thing from that other university or this university. Okay, that would be like the most common, um, most advisable way of saying things. Okay, all right, cool. Do we have any other question? We still have 4 minutes, and then we're going to have our raffle. So have 4 minutes for some additional questions. It's now or never. What do you say? Is there any other question before we proceed? No? Okay. So if there aren't any other questions, let me just remind you of the different channels that we have. You have them over here. If you are in Peru, you can call this number or send us an email. The best option is to give us a call. If you are in Uruguay, you have two different numbers, one for the afternoon, one for the morning, and one email address. If you are in Venezuela, we have this number over here. And if you are in Argentina, this is our number, right? We'll be happy to hear from you guys and hopefully have you among our students, right? Now, as there aren't more questions, Roger, I'll hand you the floor. Go ahead and proceed with the raffle. Oh, the link. Sure.
Listo.
This is the link where you can put your email and name to participate in the raffle, Rochi. So, Roger, mic is all yours.
Gracias, Jorge. Buenas noches a todos. Gracias por participar. Voy a... Listo, procedemos al sorteo. Atentos que ya sale su nombre.
Sí.
Y el ganador es FR Parra 44.
Franklin Parra.
Franklin, right?
Exacto.
Sí,
Alrighty.
Ese correo. Confírmanos si tu correo está bien escrito.
correcto. FR Parra 44@gmail.com.
Ya, perfecto. Te vamos a escribir al correo el día de mañana contándote todo sobre tu premio de licencia Cyber Teacher. Felicidades.
Gracias.
Congratulations, Franklin.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, so thank you all for coming. Thank you all for sharing those great questions. And well, don't forget to give us a call. We'll be waiting for you, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. Awesome, guys. So thank you for coming and have a fun weekend. Take care. Bye.
Get yours. Bye, everybody. Thank you.